Hey, welcome to the Triads Part 3 video. Today we're going to be talking about non-tertial triads and spread triads, which are some things that Eric Johnson likes to use. Who happens to be one of my favorite players. So one of the things that you might have noticed that I was doing, playing stuff like this. Okay, those are all what's called spread triads, and what happens is, from all the stuff that we were doing on the previous videos, okay, so these type of shapes. So those are called closed position or close voicings. So there's no room in between the notes. It's like root, third, fifth. Just, you know, like if you played them on a piano, they'd be like just every other key pretty much. Not exactly that, but for the most part. When you start spreading them out though, what happens is you would go from something like this to something like this. So we took the fifth of this and we played root fifth, and then we took the third and put it up an octave here. So if I was playing a C major triad, instead of playing this, we could play this. And then based on, again, what I did in the Mick Gooderick video, you just go up to the next voicing, okay, meaning if I just stay in the key of C, all the notes move. If I'm going up in this case, they just go to the next note in the scale. So what I mean is the first note's C, so C, the next note up from C in the C major scale is D, so that moves to there. G goes up from G to A, and E goes to F, so the next shape up would be, right? And then we keep going with that. So that's when you see me go, okay? So then that's just like one type of inversion. When you see me doing this, which is from Cliffs of Dover, the intro, that's actually an A minor triad, but it's spread out, and he has the third in the bottom. So C, A, E. So if he was going like this, it would look similar to what I did here. If we just went down to minor, drop the third down a half step, becomes minor. So on these strings, it would look like this. So what he did was, instead of playing it like this, he just took the third from here and put it down below. And that shape he just played like that. Okay? So I'm not going to go through like everything because it would just be like way too much, but the point of this is to experiment with these ideas, and again, there'll be a accompanying PDF. And what I use them for is like pieces of things. Like what you saw me doing a lot in the introduction was I'm kind of thinking in a key, but I'm pulling things from different areas, you know, like I might do different types of inversions. The other thing was the non-tertial stuff, which I'm going to get to in a minute, but I'm not thinking like always this, you know. I'll take pieces of that because otherwise it becomes too, like, you know, boring, I guess. But okay, so again, there's nothing set in stone as to, like I said, you have to do this. So he just was moving stuff around. All right, so basically that's the idea with them, and I would use them across these strings. So like you could do this, that would be like a G spread triad. It's mostly with the fifth and then the third above, but of course, like I said before, you can move the notes around. The idea, I think, is it sounds wide open because we have wide intervals. You know, we move the third up an octave basically, and then we have this, then we have this. Right, so I just played G, and then C, and then F. And you can move them around based on what key you're in, just by going, if you just wanted to go, you know, one to the next chord, just right up the, harmonize the scale, right, same thing, and so on and so forth. I'm just thinking each note going up, and eventually you just sort of remember what the shapes look like, and you don't really have to think so much about every single note. Again, another word of recommendation is always know, I mean, obviously it's good to know like all the notes in the chord and what's the third and the fifth, but you might want to just at least start with the root, because that's the thing that you're really going to be using to, you know, go from one thing to the next when you're doing this stuff, okay? All right, so the next thing that I wanted to go over in this video is non-tertial. So what does that mean? It means not built in thirds. So all the stuff that you see me play in all these Triad videos is all based on the interval of a third. And that is like Western music in a nutshell. And I guess in simple terms, not all of it obviously, but a big part of it is that that idea of based on thirds. And even if you went into 4-note chords, it's the same principle where you're adding another third on top. So it'd be like root, third, fifth, seventh. It's every other note in the scale, and it's also built in thirds. So what you saw me do in the beginning, a lot of it was these non-tertial ideas like this. Right, so what I'm doing there, and this is something else that I'm going to put in the PDF, is in this particular idea, is I'm just thinking of a pentatonic scale, which is something that I haven't talked about on my channel, but I will eventually, and there's probably a million videos on YouTube about the pentatonic scale on the guitar. But what I like to do sometimes is to come up with some of these 3-note chords that are not built in thirds. And what I did for the intro there was I was kind of just taking little shapes out of the pentatonic scale. And some of these could be called other things, but I'm thinking about it as pentatonic shapes. To me, that I like the way they sound. So, and that's nothing more than, you know, just consecutive strings with different notes, and you just experiment with, and you know, like this one has, that note is not technically in there, but again, it's a common note that a lot of players will throw in various ways, licks, chords, whatever it was. In this case, I'm thinking it's the 9th or the 2, right, in C minor. And that's a common key to use for, you know, if you're talking about playing over E or A, which are like big guitar keys, is to play C minor pentatonic, because it fits over kind of both of them. But those shapes, when you hear me playing them over that E, right? Okay, so that's kind of all I'm thinking about there. And I mean, I'll put a PDF of like the pentatonic scale, but it's the thing is to experiment, right? So what I'm always saying in these videos. So you just want to kind of go through and look through all the different places where you find the C, you know, minor pentatonic scale, and try to find some little shapes that are in there. And that will get you to those kind of open sounds. The cool thing about non-tertial is there's so many more applications of, you know, what you can do with them, because they're not just one thing. I mean, like this, for example, there's no third, right? And so it could be major, it could be minor, it could be anything. It could be a dominant chord. So to me, it's a lot more open and different, because that's like something that, you know, for hundreds of years people have been listening to harmony that's based on thirds, and there's nothing wrong with that, and it's cool, and it's how most music works. But these type of sounds, when you start putting them into that same context, it really, to me, sounds a lot more meaningful. It like grabs my ear, and it's just I think they sound pretty and interesting, and that's kind of what I'm looking for you guys to get into, is to be able to play some stuff like this. So until next time, have a great couple of weeks, and take care.